Today we're going to talk about VSL visuals, especially where to get them. And I noticed that a lot of ecom brand owners don't know where to get them, in consulting or even like onboarding calls. They just don't know where to look. So this is a very dry video, very sober video on like the basics. Of course, we can talk a lot about AI, and I will in the following videos. But of course, so these are all VSLs that are made without content from the brand whatsoever, and they still slap. And these were like 6-8 months ago, so way back. So yeah, let's get into it. Where do you find VSL visuals? Because one Shutterstock Storybook subscription is not enough. Let's get into the basics, and this is not going to be a long video, but I teach something to my team which is called a visual chain. Okay, there are like a few options, but there is like stuff that you go to first, which is self-explanatory, and then there's stuff you fill in the blanks with afterwards, because it's not as effective, but it, is a way to fill 5 minutes, for example. What you are the most interested about is this thing in the middle, which is called the trenches. This is the stuff where marketers make their bread, and which is usually the most unclear. And why I talk about a visual chain is because you go down this chain. So you start with your assets and then work your way back. Most people don't know that you can just download TikTok first and foremost. You go to snaptik.app and you can just download them easily. So you go to TikTok, you search something like hair loss and click on...
You can save your hair.
This stray hair. Oh yeah, what an ugly man. We're going to take this and go to snaptik.app, download it. Super easy because it removes the watermark and you can use it. It's Creative Commons. You're making your own artwork from a different artwork. Creative Commons law. Yeah, exactly. Most of YouTube is also Creative Commons. I usually don't go for them because they usually don't have that much good B-roll either. But it is a potential source of scene packs. You can search something like hair loss explained. That will give you some cool animations. See? And you can just zoom them out a bit. So just taking them kind of like this. So this is one thing you can do. Just source it from other platforms. People are afraid of this, but there's really not much of an issue here as long as you're mixing it with other stuff. Then another thing that people forget is Googling the keyword. What I like to do is I go here and I say something like weight loss Reddit and go to pictures. You see a lot of like, just good pictures for the pain point. A better example might be, let's say the pain point is hair loss. What I like to do is look for those shower pics. One is, top down shots, the ones that hurt. And just in general those. You can also search for something with a bit more depth, like hair and shower. That will give you a lot of good visual material, and you don't need to generate anything, because this is one of the other main points. Most people think you should go for AI right away. You really don't need to. If you have Google, that is even more relatable, and you might wonder, oh, I can't use this because these are pictures. First, you could use pictures, they still work, but for example, if you have a picture like this one, and you want to turn this into a video, it's also easily possible by just either extending it like this and running it through image to video. You just save yourself the generation part, but also you can just use it as a reference or directly throw it into an image to video tool. Super convenient. So yeah, that is something that I also see people missing, but it works beautifully. So for example, if I have a digestion product, I just search something like gut and I use one of those pics in the hook, so people know what it's about. It has to look like a pharmacy packaging. That is the look you're trying to shoot for. And and if you don't have enough to find about snatched waistlines, not enough Google images about or red dots on your shoulder or under eye bags, you resort to AI to make one concept specific choices in clip selection or just beef up the content. You might have a very good idea what you want, and AI is usually the way to go. I'm going to make a separate video on how to work this workflow in comparison, but in the end you would just go to something like Nano Banana right here, and you can use the text to image tool to just Google your image from nowhere. So you just say, okay, top down shot of guy with red scalp irritated by shampoo fragments, and you get exactly what you asked for. Nano Banana Pro is the best model at the moment. You can also try Flux 2 Pro. It's also pretty nice. but Nano Banana is kind of the king right now. I'm going to drop a video on that as well in the following day or two. And just with my favorite ecom use cases for it, because it's not just B-roll generation, there's a lot more stuff to it. And then this thing can also be turned into stock footage by using image to video tools. There's Kling, there's VO3, there's Sora, like all kinds of stuff. See how that instantly became meta? Like, wow, it's very nice. If your brand is piggy banking off of plastic fragments that irritate the scalp, feel free to steal this one. This is on me. You're welcome. Yeah. So this is how you would use the thing. You would use it similarly as searching on TikTok or Google, but just in an LLM. It's super, super smart, and this is the model I recommend. Now, your question might be the assets, okay? Because this wasn't boring enough. We might want to have something even more boring. And usually how it is with things, the most boring things are the most effective. And this is something I am telling any brand that talks to me: make asset folders that are properly structured. No chronological order of UGC creators named with Josie UGC September 2025 will get you anywhere. Also no like randomly named files with random downloaded or ripped Kalo data videos will work. You need a proper structure, because then you can compound on the assets that you have created already. Like these visuals that you are sourcing only become handy and practical if you save them somewhere. And so this is why I usually create one of these folders, for example, on brands. Stay with the hair loss. But these are the base folders: good, bad, product application. And obviously text me if you need input on what these would be on your brand. But it's pretty straightforward. You have like good shots, you have bad shots, some of like pain points. Product is just the product itself, boom, and application is just using the product. This just helps with the speed. And this way you generate something with AI, but you also have it later that you can reuse it. But let me tell you from the beginning, it's a pain to train people to actually do it, because you can talk to your editor as much as you want to. They're not going to get the concept of maintenance, especially not when they are in a third world country. But this is my 2 cents on the assets in itself. The idea here is to work down visual chain. So first you go into your asset folder, then you see, okay, what else do you need? You first go to TikTok, search the clip that you need, first go to Google, then third go to AI and generate new stuff. In the AI stuff is kind of big and takes the most time, kind of like this in relation. And of course there's stock and there's stuff like grip bank. Stock would be Shutterstock. You just go here and like fill all the gaps with like this and use those. It always makes sense to have a stock subscription, because it just makes it easier to fill the 2 minutes. You're going to need it. And I recommend Shutterstock because it has a very good clip selection for VSLs. And on another note, there's stuff like GripBank, which also has UGC white label clips that are also helping with the VSLs. Like here, couple stuff. They have a workout. They have like a call or like a text message. It's very convenient, so it's something you can do as well. It is a bit pricey, so if you push a bunch of VSLs, that might be worth it. Otherwise, stick to stock and Shutterstock. You can do anything that you can find on GripBank with AI too, just it takes a bit longer. So yeah, this is kind of my visual chain that I use and that I train people on. And the first step on that would be just to assetize, modularize the content that you do have, and then just to work in this folder structure. Yeah, I don't think I have a CTA on this video.